Boy, oh boy, when I walked outside this morning, Tyler, I was like, wow, it's chilly.
It's not that bad. It's a little chillier than it has been, but it's not horrible.
Well, I mean, it's fall.
It's fall.
And we understand that, and we get it. But I will say, you look at the forecast, you know it's coming, but you walk outside, and it still kind of just hits you, like, you know.
Yeah, like fall's here.
We've been so lucky so far because it's been like an Indian summer, fall, so they say.
Yeah.
But, and then tomorrow it's going to be even colder.
That's what I'm excited about.
But you're always in your flannel shirts.
It's true. Well, I mean, this is just plaid.
Oh.
Some's plaid, some's flannel.
Oh.
Tomorrow will be flannel. Tomorrow it's going to be cold. It's going to be flannel tomorrow.
So it's just your style then.
Sure.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning into the Oakland County Megacast. I'm Ronnie Dahl here in the studios alongside Tyler Keefe. And as we get this week wrapped up, it's Thursday already.
Oh, man.
And I know sometimes you're in the middle of the week and it's Monday, and you're like, oh, I have all these things set up to get accomplished and to get done here in the week. And then before you know it, we're sitting here and it's Thursday. So the days really do just fly by, even in a pandemic.
Yeah, they're still just seemingly flying by every single week. You wake up one day, it's Monday. You wake up the next day, it's Saturday. And then, 2 hours later, it's Monday again.
We hope everyone is having a great week out there, though. And we always appreciate you tuning in to us here on the Oakland County Megacast, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to noon, right here in the Civic Center TV and the 89.3 Lakes FM studios in the greater West Bloomfield area. And Tyler, well, you already wear glasses, though.
I do.
How long have you been wearing glasses?
At least since I was 12 or 13.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I almost think it's better because you're so used to them. As you get older, it really is, once you hit 40, your eyesight starts to go. And you have to wear glasses. And so for people who didn't grow up needing them, it is such a life adjustment and a pain in the butt. But I guess for someone like you, you're just used to them. So do you need them? But you need yours all the time.
Yeah, I need mine all the time. I'm not legally allowed to drive without them at this point.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
Tyler.
That's
Okay.
an adjustment. So
Is.
that's a development. That's a recent development too.
My
I'm
husband,
getting blinder.
he got glasses, and I went with him to pick him out because before he was wearing readers, and he was putting these old man readers on. I was like,
Did he
what
do
are you,
the-
Santa Claus?
Did he do the thing with the readers at the bottom of the nose?
Absolutely.
I do that when I'm judging people. The further down it goes, it's got a long way to go, mind you. The further down it goes, the more I'm judging.
Yes, totally. But when I went with him the last time, I was like, okay, I'm picking out your glasses. So he got a couple pairs, and at least they're a little bit more hip.
That's nice.
I will say. So glasses. But I remember back in the day when I was buying glasses with fake lenses in them, just so you could wear, oh, I have glasses.
Oh.
And you didn't need them. That was a big thing back in the day.
See, that's why I have trust problems. Because people are going walking around like, yeah, look, I'm right there with you. Non-2020, what's up? And then, fake lenses.
Anyone following along with us here on Civic Center TV, hit me up on my Facebook page to let me know I'm not alone and wearing fake glasses back in the day. Now I wish they were just fake, but they're not. I actually need them. I have to put them on. Hey, but we do want to start out the show saying a huge shout out to the Greater West Bloomfield Community Coalition because they are allowing us to Facebook Live stream today's edition of the Megacast on their Facebook page, and we always appreciate that. And as always, Tyler and I pretty much try to make it easy for everyone to access all the information that we have as well. You can catch us on Civic Center TV, Birmingham Area Municipal Access, Channel 15, Comcast, Channel 99 on AT&T. If you're out driving around in your car, set the dial to 89.3 WBLD. Actually, I don't think you really set the dial any longer tune us in to 89.3 WBLD, 88.1 WBFH, Bloomfield Hills. We appreciate it as we are here in the studios each and every week, 10 a.m. to noon, to bring you interviews with decision makers and interesting guests throughout the greater West Bloomfield area, Oakland County, and well beyond, as we all continue to navigate this pandemic, because it does not stop at the border of Oakland County. And with that, let's go ahead and kind of jump into the headlines of the day if people want to follow along with us, or even if you're just under a time constraint, you can always head over to civiccentertv.com, click on coronavirus, and that's where you'll find the latest headlines of the day. The Michigan labor and safety officials are issuing new rules for employers that dictate what precautions and steps they need to take to have employees return to work and stop the spread of the coronavirus. The emergency rules from the Michigan Occupational Safety and Health Administration come at the direction of the governor. They largely mirror the governor's previous directives on COVID-19 that were invalidated because of several recent rulings by the Michigan Supreme Court. The new rules for employers take effect right away. They're in place for the next 90 days. I don't understand, Tyler, why they didn't make it longer than 90 days. As much as we wish we were going to be out of this pandemic in 90 days, I don't think we are. However, these are pretty much what the governor has already said. And that if you're at a gym, you have to wear a mask, you have to sign in for contact tracing. Just like we do every day we come into work here at Civic Center TV. We do take our temperatures, we do that little health screening, same protocols. And I could just kind of go back, like, why didn't we just do this from the beginning, from the state of Michigan, through these agencies that were available?
Yeah, that's definitely a question that's becoming more pressing as we are at this point in the pandemic, as the governor and her team and the various departments in the state have adjusted after the Supreme Court's rulings and have made these decisions that essentially put the same kind of orders back in place, although just not directly from the governor's desk. So that does beg the question why that wasn't the way they did things from the start, so that this wouldn't have been such a big question. They wouldn't have all of a sudden been wiped out and had several days where adjustments had to be made. Good that they're being made now, and that there's some traction at least being made in responding to those executive orders being retracted by the Supreme Court. But it does beg the question, why take that risk that they could be wiped out in one fell swoop by the Supreme Court when you had these options previously and could have just continued them on?
Great point. I mean, to me, this is a waste of our time and effort.
Oh, yeah.
You knew this could be an issue. You knew this was a possibility. Use the avenues that are available to you, and let's just move on, because other states have been doing that. I know the state of Ohio, they went through their health department for so much of this, these mandates. So, our tax dollars at work right there. Hey, are you comfortable flying right now?
I'm always pretty comfortable flying. I love going to the airport. I love being in airplanes, so I'm usually comfortable. Right now, I'd say, as far as COVID-19 and trusting other people to do their part, I'm still a little ways away. And it's like I said the last time we talked about airline issues. People, when they go to the airport, they are just naturally at their absolute worst. They're at their most worst and just animal-brained moments in their life. They are sneezing into their hands. They're completely not paying attention to other people's personal space. People go to the airport, and the second they get past the security gates, they stop caring. And that's the reason that concerns me more than anything else. So for now, as much as I would love to go to the airport and would love to be in an airplane, I would pass for now.
I will tell you, Tyler, I have no problem flying. If I had to fly, I'd
if I have to, sure.
Yeah. But a lot of people aren't flying right now. Yeah. And because of the pandemic, Metro Airport and the entire airline industry continues to take a massive hit. More than 14.7 million Fewer passengers have flown in and out of Detroit Metro Airport this year compared to last, gutting air industry revenues, causing layoffs, buyouts, and closings at businesses that support one of Midwest's major international travel hubs. Airports, airlines, and other industry businesses all are trying to survive a dramatic dip in travel that likely won't make a complete comeback until 2024. Experts say. Meanwhile, the prospect of another stimulus package amid the final weeks of a presidential campaign is uncertain, even as the U.S. Travel Association, which lobbies for companies in the travel sector, warns that lack of additional aid could lead to the loss of 1.3 million more jobs by December. This, to me, the travel industry, I just don't see how it's going to rebound, and I think this is going to be much longer than 2024. And so we had a trip planned to Italy April last year. So my niece was doing a semester abroad in Italy, and for her 21st birthday, we were all going to Italy to celebrate her 21st birthday. It has been, I bought the travel insurance because and this was April 2019. So, it a long time, right? So I happened to see like the first headline about coronavirus, bought the travel insurance, and bought the travel insurance that you could cancel for any reason. It's been a nightmare getting the refund, but I will say to everyone out there who is like me, who bought this travel insurance and you can't get your refund, because what they wanted to do is say, hey, we're going to offer you a credit. We'll give you a credit for a year. Who's flying to Italy in a year?
Right. How do I know I'm going to have the opportunity to be going to Italy in a year?
I don't. I'm
exactly.
not a Fed employee anymore. I can't take that time off.
No.
I don't make that money anymore. So I was like, and my niece has been sent home.
Right.
So I'm not going back to Italy.
There's no one in Italy. What am I going there for?
I'm going
to Italy to catch coronavirus. Sure.
I would love to go to Italy to experience what they're going, just the culture and the atmosphere. But people, especially international travel in these cities that rely on tourism, are being hit so hard. But trying to get refunds because of the pandemic, they were offering credits. I was like, I don't want a credit. I have travel insurance. So you know what I did? I love documents, by the way. So you go on to the SEC's documents because they deny my claim. Right. And I said, wait a minute, I was allowed to cancel for any reason. You didn't cancel in enough time. I couldn't get through to cancel. I was up like some nights, Tyler, 2 a.m, trying to get through to cancel our trip. So I started tweeting. I went on to the travel insurance company's SEC documents, and I checked out the compensation that they were giving out for the CEO, and I tweeted his salary with his name and their company. And I said, you can't refund my little $3,000? Last week we got a notice that they were refunding.
Funny how that works.
Yeah, isn't it? Especially when you have enough followers.
Oh, of course. Oh,
so
yeah.
I don't have a lot. I think on Twitter, I don't know how many I have. It may be 5,000 or so. But I will say, for people who don't give up, always keep going. But the airline industry is taking a hit. And I would love to go to Italy. There's nothing more than I would like to have gone to the vineyards of Italy and see the beautiful things in Italy. But the trip's not going to be the same.
No.
And so people are canceling. They're not traveling right now. And it's really hitting our airline industry and is going to continue for many more years to come. And that's my rant for the day. And I'm going to move on from that. But this one is for you, Tyler.
Oh, thank you.
Nope. I know you love your Spartans, but tailgating and alcohol are now banned on football Saturdays at Michigan State University, according to campus police. Parking lots are going to be closed It's an effort to prevent the spread of the coronavirus. There will be no public sale of tickets to Spartan Stadium. First home game is October 24th against Rutgers. East Lansing, meanwhile, said any violation of its health orders could carry a $500 fine. Masks are mandatory indoors and outdoors in downtown development areas, authority areas. Outdoor gatherings in neighborhoods popular among students, limited to 25 people. Indoor gatherings can exceed 10 people. For all those that want to go to East Lansing to celebrate the Spartans, and I will say my brother-in-law is probably a bigger fan than you, has like the Mr. MSU license plate, and they're just crazy about tailgating, but they are going to the extremes of saying that not only they may be playing in the stadium, but you're not going to be partying outside the stadium.
No, I don't think there's going to be many people at all at these games tailgating this year. A, because of course the coronavirus, and it certainly doesn't help that the team is probably not going to be all that great this year, coming in with a new head coach, not coming off exactly the best year that they've ever had, and so maybe the enthusiasm won't even be there. But I think that with the problems that they're already having in East Lansing and on the MSU campus with COVID-19 so far this year, that's also going to be a deterrent. And frankly, the tailgating at MSU hasn't been all that great of a fan experience in many years anyway. From what I've heard from people that are regularly tailgating, it's a highly regulated process, and it's not the most conducive layout to that experience. So I think that there's plenty of deterrents that make this not really much of a surprise that we're not going to see a whole lot of that this year on the campus.
But I will say, I think that for the first Lions game, I will say I'm not a football fan, but one thing I like about the Lions is the tailgating experience, and I looked into going downtown just to experience it. They were cutting everyone off. You couldn't be at Eastern Market. The police were circling, kicking people out, even further out in the normal areas. So I'm guessing it's going to be the same situation here at MSU. But there is this, and I know what they're saying. It's like we cannot continue the spread. But you have to also remember tailgating isn't even so much about the students. It's about the alumni. And the alumni for MSU reaches far beyond East Lansing. But so I'm guessing Harper's is going to be pretty regulated for the upcoming game.
I would hope Harper's is regulated. I really would hope that Rick's is regulated, because that place is disturbing even when it's not in the middle of a pandemic sometimes in terms of health precautions. So I would guess there's going to be a lot more regulation on campus, especially on football days that are already pretty raucous as it is. And they want to prevent the further spread of COVID-19. They've already had their fair share of problems at MSU and in East Lansing as a result of college students returning this fall. So I think there's going to be some extra care and a lot of extra surveillance during these games.
Oh, goodness gracious. Hey, we're going to take a quick break here on the Oakland County Megacast. Just a reminder, though, click on to civiccentertv.com. That's where you'll find all the latest information about the headlines. But if you click on coronavirus, that's where you're going to find connections also to CDC resources, the state of Michigan, Oakland County, and various other communities here in the greater metro or Detroit area or in the greater West Bloomfield area. We're going to take a quick break here on the Oakland County Megacast, and when we come back, we are lucky to have with us the mayor of Pontiac. We'll check in with her with everything that's going on during the COVID-19 crisis.
As rivals, we don't always see eye to eye.
Like who scored the best recruits?
Who's gonna be who?
And whether we wear green or blue.
But one thing we can all agree on to help stop the spread of COVID-19. Wear a mask.
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 The ball's in your court, Michigan.
Michigan, we still need to stay careful because we don't want to go backwards, back to where we started. So keep standing 6 feet apart, keep wearing a mask in public, and if you have symptoms, talk to a healthcare provider about getting tested. To move forward, let's all do our part. So stay careful. Michigan.gov/coronavirus.
Happy to have you back with us here on the Oakland County Megacast. I'm Ronnie Dahl here in the studios with Tyler Keefe as we work to bring you interviews in the long form format with newsmakers and decision makers here in the greater Oakland County and beyond. And we're excited to have with us here this morning the mayor of Pontiac, Deidre.
Deidre.
I know, but I got to put my I know your name. I've interviewed you before. I just got to put my glasses on.
Okay.
Mayor, thank you for being with us. How are you today?
So great to be with you, Ronnie. Thank you for inviting me back again.
So we've been talking, Tyler and I, because once you hit 40, you need your glasses, but I try to take them off and pretend like I don't need them, but then I need them. And then I can't read what's next, and it messes me all up.
Well, before I was a mayor, I was an ophthalmologist, so I know well that 40-degree, we call it the disease of age 40. So it happens to the best of us, and those reading glasses do come in handy at the proper time.
Well, Mayor, thank you so much for being with us. And I know there's so much still going on since even the last time we spoke with you. But I kind of want to touch off, and if we can start with the latest decision with the census. This has been up and down, and the delay of the deadline, and now we have this new court ruling. What does that mean to the city of Pontiac?
That means that we sent out an advisory to everybody in Pontiac that if you haven't done your census yet, now's the last day to do it. So I sent it out on all our public advisory and all our social network platforms because although we're happy that we met our goal this year in a very trying year, we still want to make sure that everyone knows that they count, and we hope that the people who haven't done it will still do it. Today's the last day. They can do it online. And we've made an all-out effort to increase our numbers, which we have this year. Last time we did the census 10 years ago, Pontiac was one of the lower count cities, and I think we were undercounted from what I'm seeing 10 years later. So we were determined to change that, and we have now met our goal in terms of the increase we wanted to see, making sure that the national average, which is down because of the pandemic, but we are well in comparison with that. That's a great gain from where we were 10 years ago. So I hope we'll even exceed that once we get the final numbers. But that's very important for the city of Pontiac in terms of the dollars that it will bring in that it means for the next 10 years.
Yeah, and with that, I will say it is so easy now to be able to do it online. It literally takes 3 minutes, if not less. And with that, it's been extended. There's been so much confusion about the census and the deadline. But I know it's the last day. Just explain why this is so important to communities.
The census is so important because it's once every 10 years, communities get to be counted. And the count will determine the amount of a lot of the federal money that comes into the cities. Things that handle such things as the money we get to help fix our roads. And everybody knows in Michigan we need our roads fixed. For things such as subsidized meals. A lot of the children receive free lunches and some of the other care. Some of the healthcare clinics are somewhat subsidized by federal subsidies. Our federal block grant money. All that's determined by the proportion and the counts we have in the numbers, as well as our representation in Congress. So we wanted to not lose any numbers in terms of representation. And that all depends on the count that they have in their various communities. So it was an all-out effort for us to be counted and counted at a higher percentage than we were last, and to increase this low compliance. We had a huge census committee. Everybody got the messaging out because of the pandemic. The National Census Bureau had said that we couldn't do the door-to-door like we had planned, and so many of the face-to-face activities were canceled. So we had to find some really innovative ways to getting out their messages. And in Pontiac, we created the drive-in census concerts, which were great and very popular. And as we were doing the drive-in to limited numbers because of the executive orders, we were also filming it live over Facebook and got, in some instances, almost 100,000 views of people who were tuning into the concerts live. And in addition to that, getting the messaging to fill out your census. It was easy to do this year, strictly confidential, but so important to the city. And so we heard a lot of people, nobody in Pontiac didn't hear the messaging. So we accomplished our goal in that.
If I can touch on just for a second, for so many people that maybe are undocumented, living in the area, not just Pontiac, but in the surrounding area as well, they feel like they can't fill out the census or that it's being tracked. Do you have a message to them that you want to share?
That was an important part of the messaging. This is entirely a confidential process. And that was so important to assure the security of that messaging for all of us. In this day and age, and where there's a lot of intrusion in our private lives, people want to know that their information is secure. So that was done through all the levels of government. We continue to emphasize that. And we wanted to make sure ourselves that when we said that your records would not be obtainable for, I don't know, it's 60 or 70 years, I forgot, but many of us will be dead by the time that the federal government allows those records to be open. But that was important because there was a certain sensitivity to that because of the fact that when the census was announced for 2020 initially, there was an intent to put the citizenship question on the census. It had never been done before, and it took a long fight through the courts before that was taken off. There is no citizenship question on the census, as you well know. But in the meantime, it sensitized a lot of the people who were kind of uncomfortable with including that status. And so they had to be convinced to come back and that it was safe. So that took a lot of messaging, a lot of being handouts at markets and other places, public places where we can encounter people and talk to them where they were and give them that sense of confidence in that census process.
Yeah, and I know that it's not just Pontiac, but all the areas throughout the greater West Bloomfield area. So many people have not taken the time to fill out the census, but it is so incredibly important for our local bottom line. I mean, this is money. This is money that we rely on. Again, just go to my2020census.gov. That's my2020census.gov to start the process. It will not take you more than 5 minutes. And like you said, they're not tracking that information if you're concerned about your personal information getting out there. But it's so important to help support our local communities and the money that we also get. And we need everyone to take part in that. Moving beyond the census, so many other things going on in the city of Pontiac. Where do you want to start development? How about Amazon?
Well, Amazon is going great guns. They came into the city and decided to put both a distribution center and a fulfillment center in Pontiac. This was the first time this had been done with both of those facilities on one site in the United States. And it is a prototype for the kind of technology that they're going to put in the coming Amazon fulfillment centers. So they're going at warp speed. One of the things they vetted the city that we would be able to deliver with the speed that they wanted to move, and we have done that. So they have kept a schedule, and in fact, the first building has already been delivered. It's the distribution center, and then we got trucks going in and out of there every day now, delivering packages in those Amazon Prime van to take the packages out. in addition to the fact that the fulfillment center, which is huge, it is on the Silverdome site where it's being built. And the building itself, as we see the outer structure, is 4 times the size of the Silverdome, if you can imagine that, 4 times. So it's mammoth, it's very impressive, it's going up. They are now at the stage where they're putting in a lot of the robotics and the conveyor systems, and they will plan to have that open and ready to deliver to Amazon for August 1st next year. And from all the construction industry, they said that is warp speed. This Pontiac site was very desirable, and so that is a great message for the city of Pontiac that we were able to get one of these Amazon sites, because that's almost like the good housekeeping seal of approval that they have approved the Pontiac community as a community in which they wanted to do business. So that brought out a lot of messaging to other businesses that are now coming into Pontiac and saying this is a good place to do business and to bring your enterprises.
And hopefully brings a lot of jobs as well. I have to say, though, I remember when the city of Pontiac was under executive, I forget, executive order, and
Emergency
they sold
manager.
and they sold the Silverdome. Was it like $500,000? It was such a low price, and I wonder now, where would the city of Pontiac, that so desperately needs some of this money, be right now, had you had the control to sell that property yourself to Amazon?
Well, yeah, and don't make me cry. Okay,
I know, and we can't look back, but
Can't look
that
back.
was such a huge decision, and just had so many people shaking their heads back in the day.
Yeah, that was tragic for the city. You know, the city could have sold it for $20 million, which would have forestayed, I think, as we look back, the economic crisis that the city went through later. But you can't go back and undo things, as I told the people when they elected me for now my second term as mayor, that we can't move forward and look back at the same time. That we knew that those mistakes of the past were in our rearview mirrors, that we were going to build. And we had to move forward conjointly in order to achieve our goals. So we're doing that. And it's unfortunate about the Silverdome, but we have other opportunities, and we want to use the mistakes of the past to guide us in making sound financial decisions as we move forward. And I think the progress we've had has shown that we've put some of those policies in place, and that has made a difference for the city.
Mayor Deirdre Waterman with us on the Oakland County Megacast. Mayor, with all these health advisories that have been going out over the last 7 months or so, with the pandemic being taking a toll on our communities and on the state of Michigan, they continue to be going out as more new information comes in. And now Pontiac has developed a new app as well that will help to connect residents to information from the city. Can you tell us a little bit about that app and when it may be available?
Well, we're using it internally now. It's called Pontiac Connect, and it was a prototype that was developed for the city of Pontiac by a company called Chaben, a local company in Farmington. And originally we put it out in order to get these health advisories out and to also use it for the reporting of our staff in terms of the questions and the COVID-19 health advisories that we wanted our staff and our employees to have. But we're going to open it up to the larger public now. In fact, we've announced a launch date of November 18th, in which we're going to announce it to the public in general and it open up to the general population. It also has features of contact tracing, but it's also one of the social networking platforms that we'll be able to engage and to give health advisories as well as other notices, another way of connecting with our citizens. So it is available now on both the Apple App Store as well as Google. And as we said, we're going to be making the grand announcement and making it available to the general public in a few weeks. And so you'll see more about that as we do that.
Mayor Waterman with us here on the Oakland County Megacast. She, of course, is the mayor of the city of Pontiac. And United Shore has been such a big part of the city of Pontiac, and its growth is crazy right now. Talk about what that means, not just from what we see in the public view about a big company such as that coming into the city of Pontiac. what are the underlying benefits of having a company such as United Shore in the Pontiac city limits?
Many things, not the least of which is the economic development. I mean, that's huge. The recognition it gives to the city. To have a company of that caliber, it shows now that Pontiac is competitive for bringing in that kind of business. United Shore came to the city to expand. They were originally headquartered in Troy. So they picked Pontiac as a place where they could expand their services. They came in with 2,500 employees. They have now built so much that they have now bought another building across the street, and it's being connected as we speak by a pedestrian bridge that they're building. And when they get the conveyor system put in and open it up, it's going to be the longest pedestrian bridge anywhere in the United States. So that's a record. And they will have, with the way that they're hiring, as you mentioned, be able to offer up to 7,000 jobs by the time they reach their pinnacle in a few months. Maybe delayed a little bit by the pandemic, but not that much from the way I see it and the way they're hiring. So that offers lots of jobs to Pontiac Job Training. And we're proud to offer that not only to the residents, but to the wider community. So the economic development, the fact that they're also good corporate partners, we give a lot of businesses incentives in order to be competitive with other cities. Well, they gave their incentive back. They said Pontiac can use it more than they could, and they've been great corporate partners. In fact, I have showcased United Shore with the State of the City I had this year and last year. I had at the beautiful building of United Shore. So we're proud to have them here. They're proud to be in Pontiac. And that, again, is one of the signs of progress and the signs of the narrative about Pontiac is changing. It's the way we're diversifying our economy, bringing in jobs, economic development, and a great company that's doing great business.
And with that, though, when we look at United Shore, I know that there was such a huge effort in the city of Detroit in trying to hire Detroit residents. Is there any type of conversation with these bigger companies that are coming into the city of Pontiac about hiring Pontiac residents, or at least those in the nearby community as well?
Absolutely. Jobs and offering jobs and job training to our Pontiac residents was a huge concern of mine and a huge part of my platform. Work development was one of the transitional items that we worked on and we put in place. So as companies have been coming in and we've had the opportunity to develop development agreements with them, we've always put in there the jobs for Pontiac residents, and in some instances also carve-outs for Pontiac-based businesses. And we've done that with some of our major businesses and enterprises, such as the Village at Bloomfield, which now houses a Menards and soon to be a Planet Fitness, and housing that's there, as well as a number of other retail and other kind of stores, a Henry Ford Hospital outpatient unit. So it's an amazing facility and development that was vacant for 10 years. And
okay,
now
I have to stop you there, though, because I live in that area, and the Village of Bloomfield is a hot mess. It is such a hot mess compared to what it was supposed to be and the original potential, and then the dispute between the communities of Pontiac and Bloomfield Hills, and I don't know if Sylvan was involved in it.
Yeah.
That is nowhere near what it should be. While we're grateful to have something in there, it's nowhere near what was intended for that space.
You're perfectly right. That precedes me, and I know all the time it's spent to kind of do the annexation and all of that, and it was completely conceived completely differently. But the original developer who brought that plan to both communities, of course, went bankrupt. And so the facility sat there as a monstrosity that was half-built for 10 years. So we were able to find a willing and capable developer to salvage that site, and now it is a thriving place, nothing what it was originally conceived to be, but something different. We see from the way people are flocking there, I mean, the parking lots there are always full, and in addition, they're bringing in other aspects of that, including the next phase is to bring in a American House, quality living for our senior citizens who need some assisted care, as well as the Planet Fitness. So for those who were there in the early renditions, and that was before I even had anything to do with city government, who were there for the court cases, this is the way it was resolved. And it took a committed, well-capitalized developer to be able to change that from an eyesore to what we see right now with the economic development it brings.
Okay, we could go on forever about that development, but I'm just going to skip it real quick. Your time is so valuable. We always appreciate having you here on the Oakland County Megacast. Just a couple more minutes here before we have to wrap up with you. A lot of other great things are going on in the city of Pontiac. What do you want to get out to the public about some of the things that are happening, but also for the people who do maybe live somewhat close by who haven't been to Pontiac, because there is somewhat of a stigma attached to the city of Pontiac. What do you want them to see that and to explore that may be new for people who haven't been there in the last 5 years?
I want them to see that there's a new narrative about Pontiac. I know when there are stigmas that's attached from many, many years out, things that it takes a while to change, but we're doing it gradually and assuredly. There used to be a time when everything that came out of Pontiac was negative. Now we see that we're coming out every day with new highlights about what's going on in Pontiac. And so attention is now turned to the new dynamic that is Pontiac. For example, not only the enterprises you mentioned, United Shore and Village at Bloomfield, but there's M1 Concourse. So much attention is drawn to that. That's a novel thing that's happening right at our gateway. We have so many new building projects that are going on right now, including some of our first new multi-family residential buildings that have been going up in 20 years. So that is creating a whole new narrative about Pontiac, building the aesthetic that this is a good place to do business. We've changed our way of doing business, made it more developer friendly. And it's a safer place to be. Sheriff Bouchard is very proud of the fact that the violent crime statistics in Pontiac have been brought down 40% in the last 6 years. And so we now have the same statistics as any of the large cities in Oakland County, bar none. So that's a huge accomplishment. And safety and welfare are one of the chief things of the elected official, and I hold that very sacrosanct in terms of my role. And so those are the things that we worked on first to make this a very livable community. I'm sure we're achieving that. Not only do we have all these new businesses coming to town, in fact, we have become known as an emerging tech hub with all the high-tech businesses that have found their way to Pontiac and are building that nomenclature for the city. But in addition to the fact that residents are discovering the beautiful neighborhoods we've had here, that we've restored a lot of pride to. In fact, the brokers tell me that the average time for most houses in Pontiac when they go on sale, they're only on the market on an average of 3 days. So tell me another community that can say that.
Wow.
So that's showing that we're changing the narrative about Pontiac in terms of the attractiveness, the retention of business, and the safety and security of our residents and citizens. Not to mention our health and welfare, that we've instituted all these policies now to make sure we're safe through the pandemic. As the numbers are increasing, we want to make sure that everybody follows the mandates to stay safe, because that is where we want to be, and we want to protect our visitors, our staff, and be able to open our city facilities with some confidence that we are making sure people are going to be able to stay safe and healthy.
And that is a great point to make there as well. Quickly, though, I just want to get one thing out, or ask one question before we let you leave. The M1 Concourse and what they're doing there, they're reshaping that area right there at Woodward and South Boulevard. Then you have United Shore just down the road. But can we talk about the Phoenix Center real quickly? What is going on? Because that is been this big hotbed of contention for the past 10, 15 years, but that is what's kind of in the middle of reshaping the city of Pontiac.
Yes, it is. It's almost a mascot of the city in the center of our entryway to our downtown. So it has that thematic importance for the city. It has a controversial history, almost notorious from the days of the emergency manager. One of the things that it's taken some time to find some solution to. And one of the things that fell upon my plate as I came in post-emergency manager was to find a solution for the litigation that was first introduced under the emergency manager. That was quite a conundrum for the city and could have taken the city back to financial instability if we'd had an adverse ruling about that. So from the mediation that we underwent and was successful, the court did give us 2 years, the city council 2 years to come up with a way to fulfill the terms of the settlement agreement. Council has, in their due wisdom with the various factions there, has been struggling to see how they're going to come to a consensus about how to solve that. So we are working on a lot of the alternate methods that we want to make sure we can bring people together to use that spinning center again for the city, as well as the importance it plays for the reopening of our downtown post-pandemic, as well as providing parking for all those new entities that want to establish in downtown Pontiac and make it a thriving entity in the city.
I think it's a great location. I went to a concert there when Arts Beats and Eat was still in the city of Pontiac, and I thought it was a great location. So thank you so much for the update. It's always great having you with us here. Mayor Waterman here with the city of Pontiac. We appreciate your time. Stay safe, stay healthy, and again, our appreciation to you and your entire team for all that you're doing for the city of Pontiac.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me on the show.
We're going to take a quick break here on the Oakland County Megacast, and when we come back, a discussion about love. This is the Oakland County Megacast.
Hi, I'm Dr. Faust, the Medical Director for the Oakland County Health Division. The most important thing you can do to prevent the spread of illness is to wash your hands thoroughly and often. Follow these 6 easy steps every time you wash your hands. Step 1, turn on the sink and wet your hands with warm water. Step 2, apply soap to your hands and lather between your fingers, under your nails, and the front and back of your hands and wrists. Step 3, wash your hands by scrubbing them together for at least 20 seconds. Step 4, rinse your hands with warm, clean water. And Step 5, dry your hands with a clean cloth towel, a paper towel, or hot air blow dryer. If you're using a cloth towel, make sure to change it often. For handheld faucets, turn off the water using a paper towel instead of your bare hand. Step 6, if you're using a paper towel, throw it away. Practice healthy habits like washing your hands after coughing or sneezing into them to keep you and others healthy. Go to oakgov.com/health or call Nurse on Call at 1-800-848-5533 to learn more.
Michigan, the coronavirus pandemic has put us all to the test. And now it's time to put COVID-19 to the test. As we move forward, testing will be critical. We encourage anyone who has reason to get tested to do so, those with symptoms and those without. If you are leaving home and going back to work, get tested. If you think you may have COVID-19 or you've been exposed recently through family, friends, or coworkers, get tested. Our test locator tool can help you find the right testing site that fits your needs. Even if you're looking for easy access with no cost, no prescription, and no appointment necessary, we've got you covered. Help Michigan move forward, not backward. To find a testing site or learn more, visit michigan.gov/coronavirus test. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Conversation with the mayor of Pontiac. Always glad that she will take time out of her schedule to answer these questions. Sorry if I get a little tough on some of these people, but this is my backyard. This is my neighborhood. This is my community, and I care. And so we just, here on the Oakland County Megacast, we like to bring you the latest information, and there are great things going on. We're happy to see Amazon go in there. We're happy to see United Shore doing the amazing things that it's doing and bringing so many people into the Pontiac area, because that obviously is also a connection to all of us here in the greater West Bloomfield area. But at certain times, we also need to ask them the questions that need to be asked. So, but again, we do appreciate the mayor's time as well as her insight into what's going on in the city of Pontiac, and they are doing great things. But also, again, we want to remind everyone out there, if you have not filled out the census, it takes 3 minutes. Please do it. It benefits the community wherever you live. It doesn't matter, because that is money in the back pocket of your community that does go to help support things such as what she said, road repairs. So 2 minutes, 3 minutes online. It's super easy for you right now. Switching focus quite a bit right now. We're going to talk about love. And I would imagine that it's hard to find love during a pandemic, because can you swipe right? Can you swipe left? Can you even touch a new date? Are you having virtual dates? What does this world look like? We are going to bring in right now to answer those questions and so much more with Lisa Chaben. She is the Matchmaker. Match with Lisa. Thank you for being with us. It's so great to have you on the Oakland County Megacast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to share my passion with you.
Oh, that is great. But I have to ask, are people having Zoom dates?
They are. They are. I've had tremendous success during the COVID pandemic. They are lonely. People are stuck at home. They're scared to go out. They don't want to go to restaurants, and so they have no way to meet people. From age 21 to 80, I have people calling me. And it's such an exciting time because I have a venue for them to meet people. So it's great, and they trust me. So it's a great option for them.
So Lisa, if we can back up for just a second, explain to us again about your matchmaking service and how you got into this to begin with.
Well, I have been matchmaking since I've been around 16, and I just did it organically, and I was always fixing people up as a kid. I just had a knack for it. So it kind of grew into my passion. I feel like I have just a gift that was given to me about, I just innately know. And over the past 30 years, I've probably fixed up over 300 people. And it's so exciting to be able to watch people who you fixed up in their 20s to have children, and now college, and now their kids are getting married and babies, and I'm part of the process. So it kind of just organically grew, and I haven't done it business-wise for about 20 years. And then during the pandemic, people were calling me off the hook. I'm lonely. Where do you meet people? I don't know what to do. And so people kind of talked me into doing this again. And it's gone off the charts.
So how does one meet a new love of their life during a pandemic via Zoom?
Well, first of all, the process for me is you go to my website, which is matchwithlisa.com, and you read it and you fill out the application and you make sure that we're a fit, because I'm really looking for people who are serious and want to be in a commitment and want to find their true love. I'm looking for someone who is ready to share their life and their journey with someone. I don't want to fix people up that just want to date. You know, those are the other dating sites. And it's funny, I have people calling me all the time, and they're like, I've been on this site for a year, and I'm not finding anyone. I'm like, exactly. That's why you need to come to me, because if you want to find your true love, I will work on that. And I take it very seriously. I work one-on-one with you, and I kind of look for a deeper connection in what you're looking for. And so when I find it, I fix you guys up, I get to know you, and then I introduce you on a Zoom. I say, hi, this is, Sherry, and this is Stuart, or whoever, and I leave the Zoom, and they're on their own. And so it's pretty fun. People are really enjoying it. They feel it's safe. They feel like I've taken my time to fix people up, and I've really put a lot of myself into it.
What are you looking for to try to bring two people together? How do you make that match?
Well, there's so many different factors. One of them is their interests. What do you like to do? Do you have kids? Do you work? Do you not work? Do you like to travel? Do you not like to travel? Do you want someone who's tall, who's not tall, who lives in Michigan, who doesn't live in Michigan, there's so many different facets. I ask questions and I just really get to know you. And I try to find out really what they're looking for. And I just got off the phone with a client and she said to me, "Oh, I'm dating off the hook. Like, I have dates nonstop." And I said to her, "Well, then why are you coming to me?" And so she said, "Because I want more dates." And I said, "Well, don't you want a commitment?" She's like, "No, I just want a date." I said, "Oh, okay." So that's not the girl for me, because the guys that I'm talking to really want to be in a relationship. And once someone comes to me, I feel like they've exhausted all their efforts type of thing. And they're serious. They're like, "Okay, I got divorced. I had fun. I'm now ready to settle down. I want a partner." I always say there's a lid for every pot. When people say, "I'm never going to find anyone," I promise you are. It's a journey and you got to take it with me. You got to there's a saying on my Facebook. It says, "Put your heart in my hands." And that's how I believe it. You give me the opportunity to find your true love, and I will find it.
Lisa Chaben with us. She is a matchmaker from Match with Lisa on the Oakland County Megacast, joining us today. Lisa, dating is certainly different than it was 10 years ago or 20 years ago in the modern times, and then the pandemic makes that even more different. How has the pandemic changed the way that dating is in our modern times, and how may it change it going into the future?
Well, I have so many different clients that are aging from 21 to 80. So that's people that are in college, people getting out of medical school, law school, PA school, people that are trying to get a job, period. They have no way to meet anyone. There's no venues. You can't go to a bar. No one sits at the bar. People are scared to go inside. People are scared to do anything. They're even like, I'm making people, if you go on a date, you have to get a COVID test. You can't just go meet for coffee, period. So the COVID and the Zooming are kind of going together because it's kind of, you meet online, you talk to each other, you get to know each other. And just like now, just like you're interviewing me. So it's comfortable for me. I get to talk to you. I'm in my home. I feel safe and I'm not worried about catching anything. And we really we're a little bit more open. I feel very free. I can talk to you. I'm not nervous. I'm not in a TV station. Or I'm not, sitting at a bar and there's 80 other people around and people are looking going, "Oh yeah, that's their first date." So, or they're just meeting. So people find a safeness in dating through Zoom.
Lisa Chaben with us here on the Oakland County Megacast. She is a matchmaker. Match with Lisa. I do have single girlfriends. They are struggling during the pandemic and trying to meet other people. When should someone turn to a matchmaker?
Well, I feel right now is a really good time because where else, it's exhausting. Where else are you going to meet someone? You can't. The gyms aren't safe. It's very hard to go to a gym right now. You can't really go inside to the restaurant unless you feel secure enough. So unless you're going on any website, it's very difficult. And I have a lot of friends who did this before, and that's who pushed me to please help them. Please open up again. Please open your business. And it's a lot because I take it so personally. I want to be the person to help you. I want to find you your perfect match. I'm just not setting you up with 3 random dates. I'm like, Sue likes skiing and Aspen and wants to go here, and the other person is like, "No, I only like the beach and I want to do this." So it's a lot of thought. It's a lot of time. I put a lot of myself into the dates that I fix up.
So I will have to say, if someone would have told me I was going to be married to my husband, I would have told them they were crazy. Because, we were coworkers, and at the beginning was like, "What? No." And literally, and I tell them the story. If you would have told me I ended up married to my husband, No way. And we just celebrated 10 years. So what do you do in those situations when they say opposites do attract? There is something about organic of allowing a friendship to blossom into love.
Absolutely. I think one of my greatest assets that I give to people is just not fixing up men and women, or anyone for that matter. I fix up girlfriends. I fix up people that don't know anyone. They move into town. I am a people connector on so many different levels. So it is great. It's a companion. It could be a soulmate. It could be a marriage. It could just be someone to go play golf with, or go to the movies with, or do anything with. Having someone to share your life with on whatever level that you're looking for is so important. Loneliness is a real thing, and people are experiencing in this COVID real loneliness, and especially going into the winter. Like, where are you going to go? Flu season, COVID season. I mean, people don't feel safe. And I have so many great ideas for dating, outside and with your masks on or whatever till you get to know each other. There's igloos. There's bundling up and going snowshoeing. There's so many outdoor fun activities to meet people. So I'm giving people hope where to date, how to date, where to go. Like when you swipe, you don't even know where these people are from.
Hope is a good thing during a pandemic. You're listening to 89.3 WBLD Orchard Lake, 88.1 WBFH Bloomfield Hills. We are speaking with Lisa Chaben. She is a matchmaker. Match with Lisa. You had mentioned that you not only match boyfriend, girlfriend, potential love interest, but also girlfriends. I believe there are other websites like Bumble and some of the other ones that actually have these groups where people can meet up as friends as well. How important is it to have those connections with just people during the middle of a pandemic?
Well, imagine this. My busiest time was the first week of September. I have friends who are single, empty nesters, husbands and wives, all their kids left. They're alone in their house. We're in the middle of a pandemic. You don't feel safe going anywhere. You can't go up north to your house because everyone says it's dangerous. We're now under lockdown up there. Where do you go? How sad are you? So I have people reaching out to me on so many levels, even just as friendship. Someone to talk to on the phone, someone to Zoom with, someone to walk outside with, go to Kensington, be across the way from one another. It is so important to have that connection. People need people. People need to touch people. People need to be near people. You need that human touch. It's so important.
It is so important. Lisa Chaben here with us on the Oakland County Megacast. Great conversation. We love having you on with us, and we so appreciate your time. I think we need to offer up. Tyler, you don't have a girlfriend, do you?
I do not, no.
Tyler doesn't have a girlfriend. I think we should offer him up as a test subject. What do you think?
Okay, sounds great.
There's a lot of
Tyler's looking at me like he wants to kill me right now.
Of course.
That's not the first time I've been volunteered for something here. I've been volunteered to have my hair cut by a dog groomer earlier by day. There's a long history there. I'm the show's test dummy.
Lisa, I think we should talk after the show.
Oh, boy.
I think we should too. Tyler, call me at matchwithlisa.com, 1-833-2-MATCH-YOU, and I will take care of you.
Thank you so much for taking the time with us.
So
we
much.
appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Match with Lisa. You can find you pretty easily on social media and Facebook. So we appreciate your time. And we say to all the people, because isolation is a really big issue right now for the single people out there in the world. They need that connection with people. So thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
We're going to take a quick break here on the Oakland County Megacast. And when we come back, we're talking to the film Critic. The movie theaters are back open. What do you want to see, and what is going to be out there for you to be able to catch at the movie theater? This is the Oakland County movie theater. This is the Oakland County Megacast. You can tell I want to go.
We still need to stay careful because we don't want to go backwards, back to where we started. So keep standing 6 feet apart. Keep wearing a mask in public. And if you have symptoms, talk to a healthcare provider about getting tested. To move forward, let's all do our part. So stay careful. Michigan.gov/coronavirus. Michigan, we're calling on you to save lives. Don't ignore it. Don't let it go to voicemail. It's urgent. In fact, it's critical. Because if you've been in close contact with someone who tests positive for COVID-19, you may have been exposed to the virus. And you could get a call from My COVID Help or your local health department. So please answer the call to learn how to protect yourself, your family, and friends. We're calling on you to stop the spread of COVID-19, to make it safe to reopen businesses and help Michigan move forward. So if you get a call from My COVID Help or your local health department, you may have been exposed to someone with COVID-19. To protect us all, answer the call. Learn more at michigan.gov/containcovid. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Thank you, everyone, for being with us on the Oakland County Megacast. It's great to have you with us on this Thursday morning. So, in the break, we were talking, we think Tyler.
We got to get this train back on the tracks here.
He's our guinea pig.
Oh,
we had the
man.
Matchmaker on, Tyler's single. Why not put her services to the test? You could
That's
be
a really tough
testimonial.
test. I don't know. We don't want to drive her to madness, Ronnie. It's a tough task.
Hey, Nate, are you single?
Oh, boy.
I am not single, unfortunately.
Oh, we were going to try
that's how
to
I
put
should
you
answer,
in
too.
contact with the Matchmaker, too, and
No,
we need
I think-
testimonials.
Probably not a good idea.
No, I think I'd make my girlfriend mad. We just had our anniversary actually, so
Yeah,
probably
bad
not.
time.
Well, congratulations to you.
Yes.
I will say my husband and I just celebrated our 10 years.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. It's been an interesting 10 years, I will say that. More so on his side than my side. So, but with that, Nate, thank you for being on the Oakland County Megacast. We're sorry we can't make you, but we're happy that you're in a happy relationship. So that means, Tyler, you have to be our test subject. And with that, there is nothing better to do when you are on a date, especially your first date. What do you typically do? You go to the movies, and now the theaters are back open, but there's really not a lot of good things out there for people to see right now, right, Nate?
Yeah, there's a bunch of smaller scale stuff that's coming out. This week alone, there's actually 2 new theatrical releases, only in theaters. And one of them is it's a Liam Neeson action thriller. It's called Honest Thief, which is not very good. And then there's another one, it's based on a true story, kind of faith-based drama. It's called Two Hearts, which also opens this weekend. It is also not very good. I think the best bet that if you're going to make the trek to see some movies this weekend, I can recommend Tenet. I was a big fan of Tenet. But also, I know that a bunch of local area theaters are showing Hocus Pocus back on the big screen again. You know, the Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker Disney comedy that's somehow gained cult classic status. But that would be my
love that
recommendation
movie,
this weekend.
but I'm a chick.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it appeals to a lot of people, and seeing it kind of rise into the zeitgeist of essential Halloween watching is just it's been kind of fun. But I actually like it too, so it's okay.
I think the theaters need to bring back Rocky Horror Picture Show to get people into the theaters right now.
Yeah, some area theaters. I know the Michigan Theater in Ann Arbor and the State Theater every year they do kind of like a midnight showing of it, and it's usually a big deal. They do garner a lot of people that come out for it, and a bunch of we have here the Croswell Opera House in downtown Adrian, which is like Michigan's oldest theater. They show it sometimes. They showed it last year. It is kind of expensive because I know that the rights holders, the studios, this time of year they can charge a little bit more to show it because of the high demand. So maybe that's why it doesn't. This year, theaters are hurting a little bit. Maybe they don't have the extra money to show it, I guess. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to get people back into the theater. And not only that, you make it a production, right? So for people who have never been, such as Tyler, we were just talking, it is an experience that everyone has to participate in, especially if you get the old timers who know all the scenes, because it's not just movie watching. Like, I don't know if they're going to let you bring in hot dogs to throw and all the good stuff from the old days, but it is a good way to at least get new people in the seats to try to sell those tickets, because there are no big movies out there that want me to go to the movie theater.
That is absolutely right. Theater's last hope up until a couple weeks ago, right now on the calendar, I mean, if you go back a month, you had Wonder Woman 1984 was on the schedule, Black Widow was still on the schedule, James Bond's No Time to Die was on the schedule, and, you know, right now, a couple weeks ago, the No Time to Die, the James Bond film, was actually, they pushed it. It was coming out on Thanksgiving, and they pushed it to next year in April. Basically, we've just lost a whole year of movies. Like Black Widow moved back to its original May release date a year later. Top Gun Maverick's coming out next June. Fast and Furious 9, which at the time, when Fast and Furious 9 moved, it was originally coming out this year, Memorial Day weekend. They pushed it a full year already. Last year, they are back in May, they moved it to this April or the following April. And everyone thought that was crazy. Everyone thought, well, that's a little eccentric. Why are we moving it so far into the future? And now they look like geniuses because everything's just it's been release date musical chairs, essentially. So, right, the next big thing, if you even want to say it's a big release, Universal is releasing The Croods: A New Age, which is a DreamWorks animation sequel. It's coming on Thanksgiving, but you have to remember AMC Theaters struck a deal with Universal that for 17 days it plays exclusively in theaters, and then after that 17 days it can go to premium video on demand, so it'll be at home by the time Christmas rolls around, and that is the only reason that you will see that movie opening up in so many theaters.
Nate Adams with us, film critic at theonlycritic.com, also a film critic on RottenTomatoes.com as well. So with that being the case, is there any chance for these movie theaters? I mean, people that like to see movies in the theater are still going to go and see them in the theater. At least some of those people will do that still as theaters have reopened. But do they have any chance of being even somewhat competitive with streaming services over the next 6 to 8 months to a year while they're waiting for some of these other blockbusters down the pike to finally get back into theaters? Or are theaters going to have a real struggle as they reopen for several months trying to get people to come into those theaters?
Yeah, I think theaters are really, really going to hurt. And and I know there's been a lot of things out there writing letters to Congress, in this next, hopefully the stimulus package that's being, made in Congress right now, and that, theaters like, airlines and stuff, they could use some of those funds to help kind of keep the lights on. And you're already seeing it. My local theater here nearby that just opened up, they're open, they're open every day and they had showings all day. They've already reduced their hours. They're going to be closed on Mondays and Wednesdays, and they're only going to be open on Tuesdays, Thursdays in the week, and then obviously the weekend. But when I look at like the content of films that's coming up on streaming, like this weekend, you got Trial of the Chicago 7, which is a buzzy Oscar Aaron Sorkin drama, which I think is one of the best films of the year. It's going to be on Netflix. People can watch that at home. They don't have to go out and see the theater. And you're getting an Oscar-calibrated cast with Aaron Sorkin directed. And Aaron Sorkin's a huge, huge director. And then in the future, Netflix also has films coming up from David Fincher, who made The Social Network and Seven and Fight Club. He hasn't made a movie since 2014's Gone Girl. That's also going to be at home on Netflix. So the incentive to stay home has never been more prevalent. And obviously that should be what it is because we're in the middle of a pandemic. But you also hear that Borat 2, which filmed secretly during the whole coronavirus thing, that's coming on Amazon Prime Video next Friday. And then Disney just announced this week that their big Pixar release, Soul, is going to be released on Disney Plus on Christmas Day. And the Eddie Murphy sequel, Coming to America, the sequel to Coming to America, was also just purchased by Prime Video and is going to be a Christmas release. So the content that's coming out at home is substantially better than Honest Thief, the Liam Neeson thriller, or the Robert De Niro family comedy, The War with Grandpa. Like it's never been more obvious to stay at home. And I really do feel for the theaters. I did go in last Friday just to kind of pick up some snacks because I missed that experience. I wanted to get my popcorn and my drink and my candy, and I wanted to support them the best way I could. but there's just really, and as a film critic, you know, we get access to these things, and I get to watch them at home. So it's like I don't even need to go into the theater. But I also talk to other people, and there's like, yeah, nothing is there incentivizing me when I could just stay home and watch something much better.
Yeah, and you bring up such a great point right there, is that the movie theaters, I think, at this point in time, need to understand people are going to go there to try to support them because we don't want them to go away. But you're right. I don't want to see some stupid comedy and pay, you know, $12.95 to go see it when I can see that at home and it's the same experience. We get, like, movie theater popcorn is great, but it's not that great. That's not the only thing that's going to get me into the theater. And if you don't have the big blockbuster hits, they need to come up with some marketing campaign or something to get people to want to come to the movie theaters. And we're hoping it maybe because of the winter months, people are going to want to go, because that's typically in the state of Michigan. It's really our form of entertainment is to go to the movie theater with our girlfriends or our friends and our spouses.
Yeah, it's the number one leisure activity in the country. That's what everyone does it. Everyone goes to the movies.
But how do they change it during this pandemic to make it worth our time when the movie we're going to see is not the enticement to get us there?
Well, I think you're seeing it already. They're playing back catalog titles. Like I mentioned, I know Hocus Pocus, like Disney's doing a wide re-release, or Coco. They're doing a lot of, like, I know the original Halloween is making a comeback here and re-release, and they were The Empire Strikes Back, the Star Wars film 40th anniversary was released. But you're right. It's they have to do a little bit more, and I do want to commend the theaters. You know, the Imagine theaters here in Michigan, MJR theaters. They've adapted the Cinema Safe policy, which is what the NATO, the National Association of Theater Owners, it's their kind of blanket blueprint for how to handle, you know, sanitary. And in the time, and I've been to a movie theater once since a couple times actually since they've reopened, and I was very, very impressed at their sanitation and cleanliness procedure. And so, you know, and obviously some people might be so worried about their health, and if you don't want to go into a movie theater, obviously don't do that. But I'm just saying, from my experience, I was very impressed with how they were handling everything. But, you know, we saw it. So Warner Brothers took a gamble. They released Tenet, which was a $200 million budgeted tentpole, because they wanted to help theaters out, and it didn't do very well. And a lot of that has to do because at the time, California theaters aren't open, and the biggest movie-going market in the country, which is New York City, is still closed with no. We don't know when that's going to open, and a lot of studios and a lot of filmmakers will not release a big film if New York is off the table, because that is where a lot of the revenue comes in, and there's no telling when that revenue or that stream is going to open back up. And a lot of theater owners have said that if New York City theaters were open, you might be seeing a lot of big budget tentpoles. But I also want to say, it is good though that films like No Time to Die, Fast and Furious 9, Wonder Woman, Dune, all these big budget films, they are waiting for theaters. Those films will not go to streaming. So there is that crutch that is going to keep theaters on alive, because in the future, those movies will be back and they will bring back audiences. And it's nice to see that the studios are kind of showing solidarity with theaters in that way. You know, the films that I mentioned earlier, they're kind of smaller budgeted, you know, they're comedies, family films. It's a different marketplace. And so that's why you're going to see some of those films show up on streaming when others do not. So that's good.
And there are some movies that you want to see in the movie theater.
Any Marvel film, you don't want to watch that at home.
Oh, no way. It totally takes away from the experience. I'm looking forward to Wonder Woman. But this is where I also say this is a time for some of these movie theaters to get creative. Something like the Rocky Horror Picture Show, it's old school, but it's also an experience that you cannot have at home. So I'm surprised during this month of October, you're reopening for the first time, that we're not seeing this really pushed, and some of the mainstream bigger theaters offering this as an option for people to see. Because I will say, I went to it probably when I was in my 20s, and you just remember it. It was this crazy time. You can't replicate that at home. So to come up with something like that where it's an experience, I think some of these movie theaters need to start thinking outside the box.
Yeah, and I guess, you know, maybe I actually went to a Rocky Horror screening for the first time, you know, a couple years ago, and I got the whole experience. People were throwing things at the screen, and there was like lines of dialogue being thrown out in between other lines of dialogue, and it was definitely a new experience for me. And maybe the theaters are scared because of they want to keep people safe and they want to keep them spread out in distance. And if people are yelling and screaming and going madness, maybe that's the reason that's holding them back. And maybe you'll see other theaters that will show Rocky Horror this time of year. I wouldn't rule it out completely. As far as like a marketing ploy, I know a lot. My local theater, they're doing free popcorns on Tuesdays with their rewards program. They're doing bargain shows all day long. Like older movies, it's only $5. That's like they are trying. But you're right. Maybe there's just one little, puzzle piece that needs to be connected just to make that click to make audiences flock back. But it's also just tough because they're also open at 20 to 30% capacity, and there are still a lot of people out there that are wary of their health and they're afraid that sitting inside a dark enclosed space for 2 hours might be damaging to their health. And so they're in a tough spot, and I wouldn't want to be in their position to figure out how to get people back in the doors. I'm a moviegoer. I'm an avid moviegoer, and you don't have to convince me, but you do got to convince, other people.
Right. It's the general public. And with that, it's a long road ahead for some of these movie theaters. I know AMC just announced that they're probably going to be closing a lot of their theaters, but let's hope that several of them, we had Paul Glantz on earlier this week, Imagine seems to be holding the line, and we hope they continue to do so because it really is a favorite pastime for so many people, but I think even more so for people in the northern states as we go into the winter months, because that is really our activity that we rely on. And knowing that, what are you watching right now? So we can talk about streaming for a little bit. What are the big shows, if we are not comfortable with going back to the movie theaters, we should be tuning into?
Well, I mentioned earlier the Trial of the Chicago 7 drops on Netflix tomorrow. It's a crazy cast. You got Eddie Redmayne, who won an Oscar, Frank Langella, Oscar nominated, Mark Rylance, who won an Oscar, Sacha Baron Cohen is also in it, like this dramatic, funny role, Jeremy Strong, and it's about the 1968 protests that happened after the Democratic National Convention, and it's written and directed by Aaron Sorkin, who is a powerhouse when it comes to writing dialogue, and that is the most connected I felt to a movie all year, just because it's so timely, it's fitting, the social and political unrest that's happening in our country. And so maybe that might hit close to home for some people, or some people that might have lived it. But for me, it really touched me. It really moved me. And that comes out on Netflix this weekend. You're going to get to see it at home on Netflix. David Byrne. So Broadway's closed until 2021, or at least now it's until May 2021, they announced last week. So Spike Lee filmed David Byrne's American Utopia, the lead singer of Radiohead. And they filmed a show called American Utopia, and so that's coming on HBO Max on Saturday night, and it was like a Radiohead concert in my living room. It felt like I was watching a Broadway show live. So those little things we should be looking out for to kind of get some semblance of the movie going and Broadway experience. So all those things are happening at home. There's a lot of premium video on demand content that's coming out. Dylan O'Brien has a new Paramount Pictures release. It's called Love and Monsters. That'll be available at digital retailers this weekend. I watched that. It's really, really good. It's a smaller budgeted sci-fi fantasy. I really actually liked Adam Sandler's Hubie Halloween, which premiered on Netflix last week, and I think it's because the bar is so low for Adam Sandler comedies that when one is decent, it's like surprises you. And then also a lot of movies this year, including that one, 2020 has just been such a rough time that I think when you can see anything that can make you forget about the world and just make you laugh for at least 5 or 10 minutes, it gets a pass because it's 2020 and nothing else matters. And so a lot of movies I think would have not gotten as much attention or got as much praise if they hadn't come out this year. I know that's kind of weird to say, but I just say, it's 2020, and if it's Adam Sandler comedy makes me laugh, I believe it. So look out for those things. Like Clouds, there's about Zach, I can't think of his last name, but he wrote the song Clouds. It was a very popular song back in 2013. That's coming on Disney Plus this weekend. So lots of things to watch out for. I mentioned Borat 2 coming out next week on Amazon Prime Video. Just, Lovecraft Country streaming on HBO Max. That's good. I'm watching that right now. There's not a lack of content. I've actually seen more movies this year than I have in any other year combined. So there's not a lack of content.
Nate Nate Adams with us, film critic at theonlycritic.com, as well as RottenTomatoes.com, with us on the Oakland County Megacast. Nate, just another couple minutes with you before we have to say goodbye. Anything else that moviegoers and movie fanatics should be watching out for right now, or any other information that you would like to tell our audience at this time?
Just check in on your theater peeps, people that your artist friends, because there's a lot of them that are hurting right now. Because I know a lot of performer friends, they're bummed they're not going to get to act or perform until 2021. And I know our movie theater exhibition industry is kind of they're struggling, and everybody's struggling. And so we just kind of have to look out for them and give them let them know that we're here for them, and just it's tough for everybody, like I said, but I just look out for them. And if you can, support your local theater in any way that you can. Even if you don't want to go see a movie like I did, I just went and purchased some snacks from them, and I will more than likely be purchasing some more snacks from them this week. And I'm trying to, I guess, do my part to kind of help them be sustainable, and just be safe. Whatever you do, if you do decide that the movie going experience is for you right now and that's what you want to do, just do your part and wear a mask and wash your hands, all that good stuff.
And it really is important. Like, you don't realize how much you take some of these venues for granted until we don't have them any longer. And even more so as we go into the next 6 months, 8 months, and more movie theaters do start to close if they can't survive. Not having it so close in your backyard is something really big. I will say I'm kind of a geek, and I love documentaries. I just watched the Dolly Parton one on Netflix. Down to Earth.
It's been a great year for docs.
Efron, fascinating if you're into the environment. Love it. Absolutely love it. And I'm not even a Zac Efron fan. And the other one, Social Dilemma. If no one has seen that on Netflix, especially parents with kids, and how addictive they made social media for all of us. I recommend all those documentaries. Which ones are on your top list before we let you go?
So I did love Social Dilemma. I like that one a lot. My favorite documentary this year, though, is called Boy State, and it's streaming right now on Apple TV Plus, and it's about this convention in Texas where kids from all across the country come and convene, and they get separated into two political parties. And then they have to, it's like a week-long intensive, and they have to figure out, they elect a president. They climb through the ranks, and they decide this is going to be our candidate for this party, and they all have different factions. There's like there's like lower level courts, and then there's like city court. It's just crazy. They build up the whole judicial branch of government. Each team does, and then they build up their one candidate that they're going to have run for president, and then they campaign and they do everything, and it really just shows. It shows the divide in the country, because this was filmed, I think, last year. But it's also just very, very fascinating to see the future of our country and where their morals and where their ethics lie. And it's very, very, very insightful. It's very, very eye-opening. It's also like you can't look away. It's like 2 hours of just like, I cannot believe what I'm watching. Like, you're watching some of the things that these kids say will blow your mind. Some of them are really, really smart because they know the game of politics and they know what to do to get ahead. And it's also sad because they're also like 16, 17 years old and they're seeing this in real life, and this is what they're mimicking. So that was really eye-opening. Ron Howard directed a documentary called Welcome to Paradise, which was about the wildfires that ravaged through California, which was so emotional and very raw. And then American Murder, The Family Next Door, was also just on Netflix, which was about the man who obviously, he murdered his family and stuff, and that was very tough to watch. But that was
crazy. That was so crazy, wasn't it?
And how they pieced it together with there was no interviews with people. It was just pieced together with archival footage and text messages and social media posts. And it was just, it was very, very, very well done.
What is the Welcome to Paradise on? Which outlet?
So National Geographic produced it. I'm not sure if it's available yet. I know they had a limited run in theaters. If I had to guess, I bet if you looked on iTunes or like digital retailers, I feel like it's out there somewhere, as far as I know. I know they did a limited run. Oh, and also, I don't know if it's today or tomorrow, another documentary. It's called The Way I See It. Is premiering commercial free on MSNBC. I want to either say it's today or tomorrow at 10 o'clock. And it's about the White House chief photographer, Pete Souza, who followed President Barack Obama for 8 years and was given unmitigated access to the behind the scenes and taking pictures. Just no photographer ever had this kind of access, and it's his documentary about what he saw and what he did, and it's really, really good. That also comes out, like I said, it'll be on an MSNBC this week, commercial free. Anybody that wants to tune in that, I highly recommend that as well.
Well, Nate, thank you so much. We're running a little bit over, or I could talk to you forever. I will say I haven't bought into Apple TV right now because of my love-hate relationship with Apple. It's like a bad relationship. Nate Adams, film critic, we always appreciate your time as well as your insight. Someone that has one of the best jobs out there. Thank you again, and let's just hope that our movie theaters do survive. Everyone get out, try to support them in one way or another. Buy a gift certificate, and like you said, buy popcorn, buy some snacks, just appreciate them so that they don't go away. We're going to take a quick break here on the Oakland County Megacast, and when we come back, we are going to be checking in with the West Bloomfield Community Coalition. This is the Oakland County Megacast.
Hi, my name is Kurt Lawson, and I'm the Public Information Officer for West Bloomfield Township. We wanted to reach out to you, our older adults, to provide information that you may find useful during this difficult time. We want to ensure you that West Bloomfield Town Hall, our Waters and Utility Department, West Bloomfield Parks, and our police and fire departments continue to work hard on your behalf. Information and resources can be found on the Township website, the police Facebook and Twitter, or call West Bloomfield Parks COVID-19 Help Hotline. Please remember to keep your social distance of at least 6 feet, wear facial coverings when you leave your home, and wash your hands for at least 20 seconds with soap. These precautions will help keep you safe during these difficult times.
This may seem uncomfortable, but so is being hooked to an IV, sleeping in a hospital bed, and fighting for your life. When it comes to COVID-19, comfort is not as important as saving lives. Wearing a mask can greatly reduce the chance of spreading the virus. So mask up, Michigan, every time you leave home.
Great to have you with us on this Thursday morning on the Oakland County Megacast. I'm Ronnie Dahl here in the studio alongside the one, the only Tyler Keith of the Civic Center TV Studios 89.3. Just a reminder to everyone, you can always catch us on the Birmingham Area Municipal Access, 89.3 Lakes FM, 88.1 FM The Biff if you're out driving around in your car, or if you do have a cable TV, thank you, because your subscription helps support public access programs such as this, and you can catch us on Channel 15 on Comcast, Channel 99 on AT&T. Our next guest we're happy to have with us, Lisa Berkey. She is the Executive Director for the Greater West Bloomfield Community Coalition. Great to have you on with us today. For those who are not familiar with the West Bloomfield Community Coalition, can you fill us in? Exactly what do you offer?
Sure. Thanks for having us today. We are obviously Greater West Bloomfield. That means we cover West Bloomfield, Sylvan Lake, Kego Harbor, and Orchard Lake. We provide programming for our youth. Our mission is to help kids grow to their greatest potential. So any type of programming that can help our youth do that. So we focus on alcohol and drug prevention, internet safety, mental health, anti-bullying, resilience, coping skills. Like I said, anything that can help our youth. And then we also provide programs for the parents so they can help the kids.
We've talked about this before, but now is such a hard time for not only the parents, but the kids as well. Are you seeing an increase of substance abuse during this time?
Yes, definitely. Community-wide, or, in our area. I'm not saying just kids, but yes, everybody is having a harder time, and there are alcohol is used more, and there are more people using substances. So yes, it has increased due to the coronavirus and all the stress that it has caused.
And I would think too, kids are home more. now than they were previously because they are having to remote learn or they're in a hybrid situation. Any advice to parents about trying to monitor the the medicine that they have in their cabinets, as well as the alcohol that maybe is under their cabinet? I know that when I was in high school, not that I was a bad kid, but we may have maybe not through a party or two, but I know my parents would mark the alcohol labels or the bottles, but we would just fill it up with water.
So you're absolutely right. So it shouldn't just be, excuse me, for now. This should be a practice all the time. When you prepare your house, when you're having a toddler or the baby start walking, you put all the sharp things away, right? Well, when our kids are becoming teenagers, we should prepare our house as well. So we should have our medicines locked up, and we should have our alcohol locked up. So it's very, very important. That always happens. And it's not always just because your kid may be trying it, but they have friends over and they may be looking for it.
And I know that you're such a great asset to our community here in the greater West Bloomfield area, but you rely on the support of the public. Can you fill us in on a little bit about your upcoming auction and how people can get involved?
Yes, definitely. We were supposed to have our fundraiser mid-March, and obviously we didn't. We canceled it. Once we heard that the first case of COVID was in Michigan, we decided that we should cancel our fundraiser. We had high hopes at that point that we could have a live October fundraiser, and then our hopes and dreams went away as we saw that this was still continuing. So we decided to put our fundraiser online. And what we do is we have all the items that you could have bid on that night in a live auction online. It started today and it runs through the 29th. We have many of our local restaurant gift cards. We have baskets of all sorts of goodies. We've got axe throwing gift card. We've got gift cards to different retail stores. What else do we have? We have a $250 Visa gift card, so you could spend that on anything. We have jewelry stores. We have a variety of things. And on the auction, you can there are some items that are buy it now, so you could just buy it right now at the price it is, or go through the bidding process for the full 2 weeks.
How does that work virtually? And is this the first one you're doing virtually? Because I always wonder, do you get as many donations out of this way to present this to the community versus in person?
Good question. It's our first time, so we will find out. The companies that offer these auctions, there's many of them online, so they tell you that you'll be successful and do well and people will donate, but we'll find out for sure. We're hoping that everyone values what we do here in the community and knows that our programming is more necessary now than it ever was, so funding is more needed as well.
Lisa Berkey with us. She's the Executive Director of the Greater West Bloomfield Community Coalition, joining us on the Oakland County Megacast, talking about their current ongoing fundraiser. It is an auction going on now through October 29th. It begins tonight, of course, at 7 o'clock, correct?
Oh, nope. It began 12:01 this morning. So people have already bid. People have already purchased some buy it now. So you should go take a look.
And where can people find all the items that they can bid for and get more information on this fundraiser, more information on the coalition as well?
Our website is www.gwbcoalition.org. And if you go to our website, there's a direct link to the auction. And there's all sorts of information on there about who we are, what we do. And there's great resources for parents on alcohol, marijuana, prescription drugs, vaping, anything that they need to find out to help kids keep their youth safe. It's on there.
Lisa, before we let you go, just a couple more minutes. I hope you guys have the best success with your fundraiser, because it's so important to have you and other organizations such as what you offer here in our local community. Any last minute advice you could give to either parents or to kids maybe who are witnessing some of their friends abuse some of the substances that you just mentioned, and how they can look for signs, but also when should they reach out for support?
The question is, what should families do? And I think communication, open communication between your parents and their kids is very, very important. You should always be talking, having family dinners. Talking about drug and alcohol prevention shouldn't be a one-time conversation. It should be ongoing as they're getting older. We do provide, even in our elementary schools, 1st through 5th grade, we have a program called Kids in Charge, which talks about drug and alcohol prevention. I mean, talking about how bad cigarettes are, or how bad and dangerous accepting like something from somebody else, saying it's Tylenol, but if you should only accept something from your parents. So communication from the start is so important. When it comes to teens helping each other, I really do believe that they should keep their eyes open for sure, and they should talk to them. And if they really believe in their gut that there's something going on, then talk to the person's parents. It's more important to keep them safe. You may lose a friendship, but I think it's more important to keep that person alive. I was always told when my kids were younger, and if I saw someone doing something, and if I should tell another parent. And the person said to me, if that person died in a drunk driving accident, and you knew they had been drinking a lot, how would you feel? And so I think you always have to think about what happens if it gets to that next step. So it's more important to talk to the parents, even if you have the opportunity that it may lose a friend, but you will keep them alive.
And keeping one another alive is what this is all about. Thank you so much for being with us here on the Oakland County Megacast, and thank you again for all the work that you and your team members do to keep our community safe.
Can I tell you about our event tonight? We have a fun coping skill for family tonight. It's online. It's called Art Therapy. And it has an art therapist on and also a therapist on to talk about more detailed questions. But what we're trying to do is we're partnering with Henry Ford Hospital on these online programs, just finding fun coping skills for the kids and their parents to do together. So tonight is art therapy. And then on October 28th is yoga. And you can find those things on our website. And we also have a free Naloxone training. We're doing it for Kego Harbor, but anybody is welcome. It's an online program, and that's on Thursday, October 22nd. It's a free training, and afterwards you'll be mailed the actual naloxone medicine so you could help save a life.
And I will say I've been through that training before, and I have a couple kits that one I keep in my car. It really is just a few minutes of your time, and so important for people to go through that. Thank you again, and we want to remind everyone of the auction going on right now. So go on to your website, gwbcoalition.org. Try to get in on some of those good deals, but also support a great organization helping so many people here in our local community. Lisa, thank you so much for your time. We so appreciate it.
Thank you.
We're going to take a quick break here on the Oakland County Megacast, and just like that, the 2 hours are almost over, but we're going to round out the show speaking with the Chief of Police for Rochester Hills. This is the Oakland County Megacast.
As rivals, we don't always see eye to eye.
Like who scored the best recruits?
Who's gonna be who?
And whether we wear green or blue.
But one thing we can all agree on to help stop the spread of COVID-19. Wear a mask.
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 The ball's in your court, Michigan.
Michigan, The coronavirus pandemic has put us all to the test, and now it's time to put COVID-19 to the test. As we move forward, testing will be critical. We encourage anyone who has reason to get tested to do so, those with symptoms and those without. If you are leaving home and going back to work, get tested. If you think you may have COVID-19 or you've been exposed recently through family, friends, or coworkers, get tested. Our test locator tool can help you find the right testing site that fits your needs. Even if you're looking for easy access with no cost, no prescription, and no appointment necessary, we've got you covered. Help Michigan move forward, not backward. To find a testing site or learn more, visit michigan.gov/coronavirus test. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Just about 15 minutes left with us here on the Oakland County Megacast. I'm Ronnie Dahl, alongside Tyler Keefe here in the studios of Civic Center. TV.com and 89.3 Lakes FM. We do want to say thank you to the Greater West Bloomfield Community Coalition for also streaming today's edition of the Oakland County Megacast on their Facebook page, doing great things here in our community to try to keep our kids and all of us safe from substance abuse. Again, the auction is going on right now, and you can check them out, gwbcoalition.org. We're going to round out the show this afternoon. This afternoon, I'm always like, well,
Close
it's 11:45. It kind of is. When does it really become this afternoon, right? Especially in the world of a pandemic. Joining us now on the Oakland County Megacast is going to be Steve Shittenhelm. He is the chief of police for Rochester. My apologies, earlier I said Rochester Hills. It's always confusing. You have Farmington Hills, Rochester Hills. But you all work together, correct?
That is correct. Yep, it's a good team effort out here between us and Rochester Hills, the sheriff's office. So it works well for sure.
That is great. Teamwork is so important, even now more than ever, in the world of law enforcement. So, Chief, we thank you for being with us on the Oakland County Megacast. So, give us a little bit of update. Anything new going on out there in Rochester?
No, I think the good thing is that I think everything seems to be going well. We're trying to keep our people healthy here within the department, and that's going well. And we're just trying to be supportive of the community as much as we can to be involved and to stand behind and support them and also keep them safe and healthy as well.
So we all walked outside today. It was a little bit chillier than what we've been used to, and going into the colder weather months, I would imagine and anticipate that during this time you start to see an uptick of opportunity crimes from people starting their cars, letting them run to warm up, and then also when they do that, they typically leave them unlocked with valuables inside. Crimes of opportunity. What do you want people to know going into the colder weather months?
Well, we always, we get closer to the holidays and those sort of things. We always get to be in a bit of a hurry, and as you said, with leaving cars unlocked. The biggest, if we could simply get people to take their valuables in, or at least hide them in their vehicles, keep their garage doors shut, keep bicycles in the garage, and that sort of thing, we'd be so far ahead. Most of the crimes, as you say, of opportunity are merely that, where we have made it easy for someone who's walking in your neighborhood to try a door handle on a car and see what's in there, whether it be some change in the cup holder, all the way up to people that have laptops and other items of value that they leave. One of the dangers of living in safe communities is we have this false sense of security that it's not going to happen to us. And I think we all need to do our part to be smart and keep things locked and make it a little bit harder for the bad guy.
we hear this and we know it. And I will say I've covered countless stories of people who have lost very valuable things in their cars because of just this. You leave your car unlocked. I live in a small community, and yet I find myself doing the same thing. You're working out back, you leave the garage open, or you forget to lock your door at the end of the night. I think one thing that has been a great reminder for me and a lot of the members in my community as well is when people are posting videos on Ring cameras or Nextdoor, things of that nature. How important is it when you have people with these new cameras on their front doors? Is that really helping aid some of the curbing of these crimes of opportunity?
Well, it really hopefully works on both sides. One is we hope that people will think twice before they commit some type of criminal activity, knowing that there's a proliferation of those type of devices out there. And from an investigative standpoint, it's really the first thing we do is we get out into a neighborhood and we just start looking for either security cameras or, as you said, the Ring cameras and that sort of thing to help us in our investigation. So it's becoming more and more common, and it's always very helpful. Even if we can just get to a time frame and try to put something together so we know when people are working in a particular area, it's just very helpful to us.
Although I will say it doesn't help us when we're trying to boo our neighbors and you try to leave those surprise baskets. Do you boo your neighbors?
I've never heard of that. It sounds like you're trying to, it's that time of the year, you're trying to just scare them from across the street?
No, you leave them boo baskets. They're little baskets of surprise, and then they've been booed. But the Ring cameras make it hard because then they can see who's booing them.
Yes, everything has its advantages and disadvantages.
Has anyone ever booed the police department?
No, we haven't had that happen here yet. But most people, people are very nice to us and generous, and so they come right to our front door and offer some trick and treats from time to time.
Boo baskets are fun, though. They're not anything that's negative in any regard. They're just a fun way to get to know your neighbors and tell them and celebrate the hospital. With that, Chief, anything else going on over there in Rochester that you're seeing trends of during this pandemic and 7 months into this crazy world that we're living in right now?
Well, I think the thing we're always a little bit cautious of is just, people's tempers are maybe a little bit shorter than they would be under normal circumstances. And so, we just ask people to, take a deep breath sometimes and, maybe instead of counting to 10, maybe they have to count to 15. But, we just need to kind of sit back and relax and do the best we can to maybe be a little less exasperated and a little bit more patient. See that on the road and kind of in some of our customer interactions. And it's just, I think people are just a little on edge, and we just gotta maybe take a minute to reflect on what our actions mean to our fellow man and hopefully take the higher road.
Chief Steve Shittenhelm from the city of Rochester joining us on the Oakland County Megacast. Chief, with the recent decision from the Michigan Supreme Court that struck down the governor's executive orders, and then local health departments and the state health department as well putting new orders in place to continue the response to the pandemic, have you had any inquiries from local businesses or other places as to how they should be navigating those orders right now? What currently are the rules for their kinds of businesses, and what they should be telling their patrons as they're coming in as to what is required of them?
Well, I think there's been a little bit of confusion. I think, there's a part of the segment of folks that felt, you kind of hear what you want to hear and heard that all that the orders have been struck down, when in fact, really that, most of those orders have been carried on by other agencies. And so there's been some questions about that. We were up front and communicated with our business folks downtown here to kind of make sure that they understood that these rules are still in place, and any modifications that were made just from an information standpoint, so that we could answer any questions that could come up.
It's a confusing time for all of us. Chief, I would imagine you've been in law enforcement for quite a few years by now, and the profession has changed over time. We have now body cameras, but there is also a big movement that is not so supportive of law enforcement. From a recruiting standpoint and from a public standpoint, do you want to address those issues, and what do you want the general public to know about you and the men and women that serve on the Rochester Police Department?
Well, I think we take a lot of pride in what we do, and we understand that we stand not only for the Rochester Police Department, but we speak for our profession. And so we want to make sure that as a profession and as professional police officers, that we put our best foot forward and that we treat people right, and that people can trust and respect not only the Rochester Police Department, but police as a profession. I think it's more important than ever that we make that job one, to treat people right, to be fair and honest with folks. And I think we, as a whole, police officers have always been doing that. We hope people will notice the vast majority that are, and that we eliminate ourselves of those small minority that don't.
How hard has it been for you and your other counterparts to try to recruit during this time, but not just recruit, but also get diverse, qualified applicants to help represent your department?
Well, we've been very fortunate right now. We haven't had to be out looking for applicants, but from what I understand, it is understandably becoming more difficult. It's a great job. I've enjoyed it. I love it. But at the same time, if you're someone who's trying to get into it and you watch current events, it's maybe just not as attractive as it once was. So we're looking for certainly a particular type of person that has a unique skill set to be great communicators and to still have an interest in being out there and engaging with the public. And so we continue to look for those folks, and I'm sure we will find them. We just have to, again, do our best to put our best foot forward and make people understand that this is a job worth taking.
And with that being said, what has been the one big highlight from your career that you want to share? It's funny because it's you think of it as all kinds of the big bust and that you made this arrest or stopped this thing, but I think the biggest thing I try to tell the officers here is that we need to be problem solvers. And so I think of over the course of my career, situations where we've been able to come in and help people and solve a problem and keep small problems small, and make a difference in someone's family situation, and just kind of the small goofy things that we do. I mean, we think of this summer, we were out helping kids with celebrate their birthday parties during the height of the pandemic, and we've been this summer going out and handing out ice cream from the back of an ATV. So we just do a lot of fun things, and you see smiles on people's faces, and that you're, for at least for that moment in time, you made a difference in their life. And I think those are the highlights that police officers should be looking for. I know in the world of law enforcement, for some new officers, they may think that doesn't go very far, but the first encounter that a child has with a police officer, when it's a positive one, can have a lifelong lasting impact. And so I want to say thank you to you and your police officers for all that you're doing for the community of Rochester and all of us here. And going forward, just about a minute left here with you. Anything that you want to share with the public?
Well, one thing I will remind folks, we'll be participating with a variety of other police departments in the area in the National Prescription Take Back Program on October 24th. We have Operation Medicine Cabinet, where we accept outdated, expired, or unused medications 24 hours a day. But it kind of highlights through the community efforts of the Drug Enforcement Administration and all the participating departments how important that is to get those prescriptions properly, those prescription drugs properly disposed of and out of the home. So it helps prevent drug interactions where people are, mistaken and taking the wrong medications, or for children to get them, or for our young adults to misuse them. So it's just a great opportunity to make use of that program and stress the importance of it on a daily basis.
Well, Chief, that's a great point to end on. We appreciate your time as well, especially with more and more kids in the home right now, remote learning. That's such an important thing for the parents to know. They can drop them off there at the police department. That is going to wrap it up for the Thursday edition of the Oakland County Megacast. For Tyler and I, we want to say thank you for tuning in, and also thank you to Jake and Larry for all their help as well. This has been the Oakland County Megacast.